Good day. On this video, we are going to look back on the concepts of review of related literature. We're looking into the meaning of this and how we are going to use the studies of other researchers and the concepts that we are going to gather on our research. So let's look into the meaning of RRL, or the review of related literature. RRL, or the Review of Related Literature, is an analysis of man's written or spoken language of the world. It determines the connection of your research with what people already know about it. Ginagawa natin ang RRL to prove that our research has a connection to the world and that there is other theory or may iba't ibang mga teorya o iba't ibang mga konsepto na related o kaugnay ng ating mga ginagawa. When we do research, there are things that may be similar to what other people's work. And this can be our guide in coming up with our own research methods. Let's move into the purpose of RRL. One of the purpose of RRL is to obtain background knowledge of your research. Siyempre, ang paggawa ng research ay hindi lamang nanggagaling sa knowledge na meron tayo. We can use other people's knowledge so that it can be our backbone to strengthen our own research. Number two is that we can relate your study to the current condition or situation of the world, which means that we can make our research timely, napapanahon. Dahil ang research na ginagawa natin ay dapat nakakasolve ng isang problema na ating kinakaharap sa kasalukuyan. And number three, as a purpose of RRL, is to show the capacity of your research work to introduce new knowledge. Makapagtala ng bagong kaalaman, makagawa, makadiscover ng bagong kaalaman. So when we do RRL, we can check whether what we are doing is new or not. Another purpose of RRL is to expand, prove, or disprove the findings of previous research studies. So when we do validation of research, we need to look into other people's work so that we can able to disprove or prove their work as we do our own research. The next purpose is to increase our understanding of our research's underlying theories, principles, or concepts. Next is to explain technical terms involved in our research study. If there are too deep meaning words that has been very technical, we can use other people's work or definitions coming from specified books that we can help our readers to clearly understand what our research is. Next purpose of RRL is to highlight the significance of your work with the kind of evidence it gathered to support the conclusion of your research. And we do RRL to avoid repeating previous research studies. So when we are able to look into some researchers that we are able to think of, and if it's already done, so we need to think of another way, another method to make our own research unique, because research should be unique as much as possible. And lastly, as part of the purpose of RRL is to recommend the necessity of further research on a certain topic. Moving on our styles or approaches of RRL, there are two types or two styles of RRL that we may able to use. We have traditional review of related literature and the systematic review of literature. The traditional one, the goal of this type is to expand or give a new understanding of existing work. It does not require to describe of the method of reviewing but states the intention of conducting the review. On the other hand, the systematic review of literature involves steps to follow. So just like you are doing your scientific method, you are following steps. Let's focus first on the types of traditional review of literature. There are five types of TRL. We have conceptual review, critical review, state of the art review, expert review, and scooping review. For the conceptual review, it analyzes the concepts to give meaning to some national or world issues. So we do this to analyze current issues in our society. The critical review explaining the application of theories to situations, while the state of the art review deals with the latest research studies that we have today. While the expert review, we let an expert to do the RRL. The last one, the scooping review, prepares a situation for a future researcher or future research work in form of project making about community development, government policies, and health services. The TRL has that types, while for the systematic RRL or the systematic review of literature follow certain steps. So these are the steps that we are able to follow. Letter A, we have to clearly understand the research questions. Let's take note that the research questions is our path of coming up with a good research. So in order for us to come up with a good RRL as well, we need to clearly understand our research questions. Then once we have done that, we need to plan our manner of obtaining our data. With this, we can look for methods of other researchers to be part of our RRL. Then we do the literature search. When we do the literature search, we can go to Google Scholar as our primary search engine to look into some published research works. Then determining the value of data and sources of information comes next. After that, we determine the methodological process of our research. And lastly, we summarize the information that we gather. If we're going to compare TRL and SRL, we can look into this table. We have the purpose of TRL is to have a thorough and clear understanding of the field, while the SRL meets a certain objective based on a specific research question. So we do the RRL if we are based on some research questions, then we do the SRL and not the TRL. For the scope, the TRL is comprehensive and in wide picture, while the systematic one is restricted focus because we are aiming onto our research questions only. The review design is indefinite plan, permits creative and exploratory plan for the TRL, while for SRL, we have viewable, process, and paper trail since we are following certain steps. The choice of studies, we have purposeful selection by the reviewer for TRL, and for SRL, we have prepared standards for studies selection. Then the nature of studies, we have inquiry-based techniques for TRL, and we have wide and thorough search for all studies for SRL. The quality appraisal, we have reviewers' views for TRL and assessment checklist on the other hand for SRL. And lastly, for as we summarize our review of related literature, if we do TRL, we come up with a narrative. While for the SRL, we will come up with a graphical and short summary answer. Both of these styles of RRL can be used in quali or quantitative type of research. Let's watch this short video clip before we end this discussion.
In this video, we will discuss the purpose of the literature review in presenting a research project. First, what is the literature? The literature can be understood as the collection of academic and peer-reviewed writing on any given subject. A literature review, therefore, is an articulate summary of the most important and salient aspects of that literature for your field and the most pertinent or relevant to your research project. However, a lit review can be an arduous and frustrating process because it involves many hours reading and researching. So, in the first instance, it's important to understand why we include this process in our research. The following 6 points are articulated by Diana Ridley in her book The Literature Review, a step-by-step guide for students. Number 1. The Lit Review provides a historical background for your research. This is critical for 2 reasons. First, you need to know what has been written about your research so that you can present something new and significant to the field in which you are studying. When you come to write about your research significance, you can be confident that you are contributing, even in a small way, to the existing understanding of the field. The second reason that providing the historical background for your research is critical is because it demonstrates to your reader or examiner that you know how to read theoretical concepts and translate them into your own words, and that you understand your field. Number 2. It gives an overview of the current context in which your research is situated by referring to contemporary debates, issues, and questions in the field. This is important because your field of research is constantly updated and expanded upon through new and exciting work. Moreover, the ideas about your field might have a different meaning in a new context. For example, historical background about feminism in Australia might discuss the impact of the contraceptive pill in the 1960s. However, what discussions are impacting reproductive rights now? And how does the contemporary research talk about these issues? Number 3. The Lit Review includes a discussion of relevant theories and concepts which underpin your research. There are countless ways to approach research. For example, if you are researching the relationship between the subject and the state, you need to explain how different theorists have approached this research and where your approach fits in. Are you following a Foucauldian approach? Or perhaps you're following a Marxian approach, or a mix between the two? Number 4. The Lit Review introduces relevant terminology and provides definition to clarify how terms are being used in the context of your work. Clarifying how you use your key phrases is absolutely critical, and to do this you need to explain where and how you developed your definitions. For example, there are countless ways to define feminism, so you need to develop a definition that suits your needs and explains how others may have defined it in the past. Number 5. The Lit Review describes related research in the field and shows how your work extends or challenges this, or addresses a gap in the field. Understanding a broad array of literature gives you the opportunity to identify what might be missing in an academic dialogue of your discussion. It can help contribute to your field by pointing this out and filling it in. And finally, number 6. The Lit Review provides supporting evidence for a practical problem or issue which your research is addressing, thereby underlining its significance. This means that your literature review also works to show the reader that your area of research is reputable and that you are developing upon already solid work that is important to others, and that it would have a resounding impact for those researchers who also work in the area. Understanding why literature reviews are important will help you write your review, because now you know what readers and examiners are looking for and why they are looking for it. Undertaking your literature review might feel laborious at times, but after it is completed you will have an expert understanding of your field and you will be able to discuss your work feeling confident and articulate. Thank you for watching.
So that is the end of our discussion about review of related literature. The next video, we are going to look into how we are able to write using the APA format of or the MLA format and the in-text citation of the review of related literature. Thank you very much.